Good morning, all. Today we are going to learn about the economic environment. That is, we are going to start the module 2. We have already had a brief introduction for this economic environment in our first module. That is when we learned macro environment factors. We have already discussed about economic environment. It is one of the major or significant factor affecting business. So first we'll see what is economic environment. Economic environment. Economic environment includes so many economic factors. Economic factors which have an impact on the working of business, which have an impact on the decision making of a business. All such factors we call it as economic environment. So we can say that so many economic factors like inflation, interest rate, then the income, the per capita income, or the distribution of wealth, trade cycle, all these are certain factors, economic factors, which will decide the buying behavior of consumers as well as organizations. So such factors altogether we call it as economic environment. So the main economic factors which come under economic environment are economic system, economic policies, nature of the economy. That is in our, if we are considering India, we have to consider the nature of the economy in India. Then the trade cycle, the phase of the trade cycle that is now happening, or the phase of the trade cycle in which our country is now in. That particular phase will have an impact on the business. That is whether we are in a boom phase or a depression or like that. That is, if our country is in a boom, then naturally there'll be more demand for the products and services. So it will have a positive impact on the functioning of the business. Whereas if the situation is like we are in a depression situation, then the business will have its own difficulties. That is, the demand for products and services will be low, and so will be the profitability of the business. So likewise, we'll have or the business will be affected by the trade cycle. Then economic resources available in our country. Then the level of income, then distribution of income and wealth. Then the statutory provisions that are there in the economy that are put forward by the government. All these have an impact on the functioning of business. So all these factors together we call it as economic environment. We can say that the economic environment of a country will decide the viability or the possibility of carrying out the business practices in that particular country. That is, if the economic environment of a country is favorable for carrying out the business practices, then naturally more businesses will be coming, more people will be ready to start businesses, and the business will be growing fast. But if the economic situation, if economic environment of a country is not that favorable, then people won't be ready to invest into new businesses. They won't start new businesses, and the existing businesses will not be in a good shape. So likewise, the economic environment of a country decides the viability of business in that particular country. So the economic factors or economic environment, we can say it is very dynamic, and at the same time it is very complex also. We can say it is dynamic because it changes continuously. It changes with change in government policies, with change in political situations, etc. Because if a particular party comes to power, so there's a change in the political situation, and in that case, the new party may be having a different ideology. So they'll come up with some new policies, some new rules, and in that case, that will affect the business. That will affect the economic environment, and it will affect the business. So that is how the changes in the situation will have an impact on the changes in the government policies will have an impact on the economic environment. Anyways, there are three main elements of economic environment. The main three elements are economic conditions, economic policies, and economic systems. So first we will see what is economic condition. Economic condition includes income level, distribution of income, then demand and supply trends in the economy, the phase of the trade cycle, then the size of the market, prevailing price levels in the economy, rate of capital formation, industrial growth, and so many other factors like inflation, interest rate. I mean, we have already said that point, I think. All these come under economic condition. That is the conditions that are prevailing in the economy. That is economic conditions. All these factors, all these conditions will affect the business in one way or other. Okay, so all such factors, all such situations are called economic conditions. We can say that an improvement in the economic condition will improve the lifestyle, and the quality of life of the people, and their consumption level, their purchasing power. All these will be all these will be affected by the economic conditions in that particular economy. Then, if it's a boom condition, positive for the business. If it's a depression, it will have a negative effect for the business that we have already discussed. That's how each factor, each condition will have its own impact on the business. Okay, if people are having more consumption level, or if the people are having more purchasing power, then they'll be buying more. So naturally, what happens? It will be having a positive effect on the business. Then if the rate of capital formation, more capital is being pumped into the market, then what happens? More investment will be there. That will be beneficial for the business. Likewise, each factor will have its own effect on business. So that is all about the economic conditions. Then the next factor or next major element of economic environment is economic policy. Economic policy is a term used to describe government actions that are intended to influence or control the behavior of the economy. Okay, so these are economic policy means all the actions, all the policies that are being put forward by the government in order to control or influence the economy. Okay, that is if the government wants the economy to be and if the government wants more money in the market or more money in the economy, money supply needs to be more, then it will be formulating a policy in order to increase the money supply. Likewise, whatever government thinks is suitable for the economy, or such a change is required for the economy, then it will come up with policies that will help the economy to change in the way the government wants. Okay, so economic policy is a term used to describe government actions that are used to influence or control the behavior of the economy. It covers the systems for setting levels of taxation, government budgets, then the money supply, interest rates, as well as the labor market, national ownership, many other areas of government interventions in the economy. That is, it is through the economic policy that government sets the level of taxation. Each year it changes with the budget, right? So likewise, taxation level will have an impact on the economy. That is, if the government is saying that they'll tax more, then will it be like people won't be ready to make more money, right? If you have to pay all the money that you make, all the profit that you make as tax, then will you be ready to work hard? Will you be ready to invest more money in business and do more work on it? You won't be ready, obviously, because you will think, okay, whatever I do, how much ever money I make, I'll have to give it as tax to the government. So why should I work hard? Okay, so people will think like that. Likewise, if the government wants people to invest more, or they want to make people do more business, they may reduce the tax. It's a very silly example. So likewise, that is how the government decides what should be the level of taxation. Then the government budgets. Then the money supply, how much money should be pumped into the economy, or how much, if the government thinks that more money is there in the economy, then it will take actions, or it will bring out policies that will reduce the supply of money in the market. Okay, so that is how economic policies are set. Then, effect of these policies may be favorable or unfavorable for a particular business. Say one particular policy, one particular economic policy may be favorable for one business, whereas it may be unfavorable for some other business. Okay, so same policy may be affecting different businesses differently. Different business units will be affected in a different way. Okay, so that is about economic policies. Economic policies include monetary policy, fiscal policy, export-import policy, industrial policies. All these come under economic policies. We'll be learning in detail some of the policies. So now we'll look into the next element of economic environment, that is economic system. An economic system is the means by which the government distribute resources, trade goods and services across the country. Okay, so economic system, each country will have a different economic system, or different countries have different economic systems in it. So we can say that each country's economic system decides who all can do business, or how the market will function. All these are decided according to the economic system that prevails in that particular country. As we know, in India, the economic system is mixed economy. Okay, so that is why we are having private sector as well as public sector businesses in India, because we are having a mixed economy. So the prevailing economic system, that is the economic system that the particular country has, as well as the changes in it, will have an impact on the business enterprises, or the business enterprises are largely affected by the economic system and the changes in that particular system. Okay, so on the basis of ownership of resources, the economic system may be classified as capitalism, socialism, or mixed economy. Ownership of resources, based on the ownership of resources, that is in who is owning the resources, or who is the one who owns the factors of production, who controls the resources, who owns the factors of production, who owns the resources. All these will decide whether that particular country is having capitalist economy, socialist economy, or mixed economy. Or we can say in the other way, that is, it is based on the economic system that is prevailing in the country, that or the economic system that prevails in the country decides who will own the resources, or who will own the factors of production in that particular country. Okay, I hope you understood that, or you will have a more understanding when we discuss about each of these economic systems. First, we'll see what is capitalism. So capitalism, in capitalism, the resources are owned by private individuals and organizations. Okay, private ownership, that is the most important characteristic of capitalism. Okay, so private individuals and organizations will have, or they will be the owners of the resources. They will be the owners of the factors of the production. Okay, so various economic decisions are taken by them. That is, all these individuals or private individuals or organizations who own the resources will decide, or they will make the economic decisions. The government or any other external body will not be interfering in such decisions. Okay, that is the case of a pure capitalist economy. There will be no interference from the side of the government. All the economic decisions will be taken by the party, that is the individuals, private individuals, or the organizations themselves. Okay. Then, the market forces play a major role in economic decisions in capitalism. That is, it is based on the demand and supply that all the economic decisions are taken. All the economic decisions depend on demand and supply in the economy. Then we can say that the basic objective of capitalism is individual freedom. That is, in capitalism, uh, actually capitalism recognizes each and every person as the owner of his own life. That is, I am the owner of my life. Okay, as an individual, I have all the rights regarding my life. So, capitalism recognizes each and every person as the owner of his own life. And so, he has the right to live according to his own wills. Okay, so every person has the right to live his life in any manner he chooses, as long as he does not violate the rights of others. Okay, so as long as I do not do any harm to others, I do not violate the rights of others, I have the right to decide everything about my life. Okay, that is individual freedom. Each and every individual has the freedom to live according to his will. He can choose his life. He can live in a manner in which he chooses to live, as long as he does not violate the rights of others. So that is the basic objective of capitalism. So we can say that in capitalism, the economy is completely separated from the state. That is completely separated from the government. The government does not have much regulations, or it cannot control the economy to a great extent. Okay, so capitalism, we can say it's a social system based on mainly based on the fact that all the means of production is privately owned. Okay, all the means of production is privately owned in capitalism, and so the economy, everything, the all the commercial activities, all the business activities remain uncontrolled and unregulated. So it's an uncontrolled and unregulated economy where all the means of production, all land, everything is owned by private individuals. Okay, so I hope capitalism is clear. So, what are the main features of capitalism? First one, private property. People have the right to hold and use private property in any manner they like. Okay, so it's a part of the individual freedom, right? So anyone can hold and use private property in any manner they like. They can own any property anywhere. There is no restriction regarding that. Or they can use that particular property for any purpose they want to do. Okay, so that the government won't, or government or any other agency won't interfere in such matters. Then the price mechanism is another feature. Under capitalism, it is the price mechanism that guides the producers and consumers. That is, price mechanism actually means that the price is determined by the interaction of forces of demand and supply without any kind of interference from the side of the government. Okay, so price mechanism helps producers to decide what they have to produce, how much they have to produce, when to produce, and where to produce the commodity. Okay, so all these are dictated by the price mechanism. So that is, for example, the availability of a particular commodity. Okay, that is availability of particular commodity is low in the market. Okay, a particular commodity is scarce in the market. Under such a situation, that is supply is low. In such a situation, when people want that commodity more, many number of consumers are there. So the demand for that particular commodity is very high. So supply is low and demand is high. So what happens to the price? The price will be high. Okay, because demand is high and supply is low. So more people wants that particular product. So they are ready to pay more. So the price will go high. So what happens when the price is high, the profit is high. So many people thinks that okay, that particular commodity, if I produce or sell that particular commodity, I can make more profit. So naturally, more people will come into that particular business. Okay, so what happens? The supply becomes more. When the supply becomes more, what happens? Naturally, the price starts coming down. That is the price mechanism. Okay, so the price mechanism actually brings an equilibrium between the demand and supply. Okay, so that is why we say under capitalism, everything is guided by the price mechanism. Okay, so when the price becomes low, some of the producers or some of the sellers may find it difficult to make profit, or they may encounter failure, or they may have to incur losses in their business. Under such a situation, what happens? They'll stop that particular business and go away from the market. So what happens? Again, the supply becomes low. So that is how this forces are this forces changes, or these forces control the market. Okay, so here everything is controlled by this demand and supply and this price mechanism. There is no interference from the side of the government. That is an important feature of capitalism. Then next feature, freedom of enterprise. Every individual is free to use his means of production in any manner he likes. Okay, so each and every individual has the freedom to use whatever means of production he has. That is, he may set up any business or any commercial activity. He can do any commercial activity of any size, anywhere. Okay, there is no restriction from the government side. And a particular entrepreneur can take independent decision. He doesn't have to consult with any external agency or any government or anything. He can take independent decision with regard to what, where, and how much to produce. So the entrepreneur is free to select any occupation or profession, keeping in view the resources available, his ability, his own skills. Okay, only these things he has to think of. He doesn't have to consider any restrictions or any interference from the side of the government or any other agency. So the entrepreneur will choose the production of those goods which will yield maximum profit to him. Okay, government does not interfere in any economic activity. So that is freedom of enterprise. Then next one is competition. Because of this freedom of enterprise, what happens is there will be a large number of producers for almost every commodity. So what happens when there are so many business people, so many people are producing that particular commodity? The competition will be very high. High competition is a very important feature of capitalism. Then and the benefit actually with the high competition, what happens is the efficiency will be high. And when the efficiency is high, the customers can get products at a lower rate. Okay, because there is a high competition, a tight competition exists. So each producer will be trying to give the best product at the cheapest rate, so that the consumers will prefer their product to the competitor's product. Okay, so that's how this is beneficial to the customers. So going to the next feature, profit motive. The desire to earn profit. It is the main motive of performing all the economic activities. All the entrepreneurs will engage themselves in and almost all the commercial activities, or they'll start their enterprises to yield maximum profit. So main motive behind the production is to get maximum profit. So profit motive is one of the major major characteristics of capitalism. Then sovereignty of consumer. Consumer is sovereign, means that consumer is a superpower, or he is the ultimate power. Okay, he has got the ultimate power. He is the ultimate. Consumers consume those goods which provide maximum satisfaction to them. Okay, so under capitalism, consumer is sovereign. The entire production structure is based on the demand of the consumers. The entrepreneurs or the business people will invest their funds for production of those goods and services which are demanded by the consumers. Okay, so consumers, they can choose the commodity. They can choose that product or service which provide them the maximum satisfaction, which is best suited for them. Okay, they can choose it. There is no restriction, or they are not forced to use whatever is available. Okay, there is no restriction like that. They can choose which one they want to. That's all. Then the next feature is labor as a commodity. Like any other commodity, labor is also bought and sold in the labor market under capitalism. It is so because people who do not own capital and other means of production are not able to make use of their own labor. So what they do? They will be compelled to sell their labor in order to earn their livelihood. So that is how this labor is, or people are forced to sell their labor. So as a result of this, what happens is there is a chance for exploitation. Okay, so under capitalism, there's a chance for exploitation of labor. That's because labor is sold or bought, just like any other commodity or any other material. Okay, any other material that we use for production, we sell it and buy it. Just like that, labor is also sold and bought under capitalism. So there is a chance for exploitation. So these are some of the major uh, characteristics of capitalism. Then we'll move on to the next economic system, socialism. In socialism, the role of the state is central. Our state is the most powerful in a socialist economy. The state owns the means of production and directs economic activities. State plans for a given period of time and decides on what to produce, how much to produce, how to produce, and at what price to supply resources and commodities to producers and consumers. So here everything is decided by the state, by the government. Okay, everything is planned by the government and every action takes place according to the plan made by the government. That is socialism or socialist economy. It is just opposite of capitalism, where the government does not interfere in any kind of economic activities. Here in socialism, government decides what is to be done. Okay, what is to be produced, how much to be produced. All these are being decided by the government. And planning has got an important role in socialism. Everything is planned in advance and that plan will be implemented by the government. So planning is very important in socialism. And we can say that market forces are missing in this particular kind of economy. That is, in the case of capitalism, we said that about the demand and supply forces, the price mechanism and all those are missing in a socialist economy because here everything happens according to the plan. So if government decides that this particular commodity should be produced in this much quantity by these many producers. Okay, the government decides it. So that no one else can produce it. Even the producers cannot produce more than the quantity given by the government. Okay, so they have to do everything according to the instructions of the government. So everything is planned and implemented, and so there is no chance for any market force. It is not dynamic at all. Okay, so in the case of capitalism, when the demand becomes low, what happens? Sometimes the producers will quit. But here they cannot do that because they don't have the freedom to do it. If government says that you have to produce this particular product, you have to sell it at this particular price, then they are forced to do it. They have no other option. For example, if we take the case of today's situation, we all are forced to use or we all have to use mask. That is a must now. It is for our own safety. And government has prescribed N95 masks. So the price of N95 mask is there is a limit for the price. The Kerala government has instructed the sellers of the mask that N95 mask should not be sold above this particular price. So none of the sellers can sell the N95 mask above that price. Okay, that is how the government regulates, the government controls. That is how market forces are missing. Then the basic objective is to ensure social justice and equitable distribution of wealth. That is, everyone's basic needs are to be satisfied, and accumulation of wealth in the hands of some people is not allowed. So the major objective, or the main motto itself is to ensure social justice, or to ensure the well-being of everyone, each and every citizen, and to avoid accumulation of wealth, or it does not allow people to have more wealth. Only some people have a lot of money, some others doesn't have anything, not even able to meet their basic needs. That is not allowed in a socialist economy. Okay, so next is the main features of socialism. First one is collective ownership. That is, all the means of production are socially owned, or the government owns all the means of production. Government represents the society and uses the means of production in such a way that it feels that that particular way of utilizing the means of production is best suited for that society, or it is most beneficial for the society. In that manner, the government will be utilizing all the means of production. This does not mean that private individuals cannot hold private property. Okay, they can hold private property, which is necessary for their subsistence. Okay, for their existence, for their own needs, they can have private property. But the maximum limit for this is decided by the government. Okay, so the next feature is set objectives. That is, in a socialist economy, there will be some objectives set. Okay, there will be all the objectives will be set in advance, and according to the objective set, they will be formulating plans, and efforts will be made to make this plan happen. Okay, so all the objectives, or the government will set some objectives, and the plans will be made according to the objectives, and the efforts will be made by the people, by the government, to make this happen. Okay, to achieve those objectives. The objectives can be of different types. Based on the situation of that particular society, the government may be setting various objectives, maybe like rapid industrialization, or the achievement of full employment, or maximization of per capita income, or such objectives can be set. Okay, so what objective the government will set, that is purely dependent on the condition of the society, or what the government thinks is best suited or best needed for the society. They'll set such objectives. The next feature is economic planning. Okay, so that we have already mentioned. Actually, when you set some objectives, we have to make plans to achieve those objectives. In order to achieve the given objectives, a proper plan is formulated. Okay, so usually there will be a planning authority for the society, for that particular economy will have a central planning authority, and this planning authority will formulate plans. Actually, they will be formulating plans based on the assessment regarding the resources available in the country. That may be physical resources or human resources. Okay, so based on the availability of resources in that particular society, the central authority may be formulating plans in order to achieve the objectives set. The plan, in this particular plan, it will mention, it will say everything about all the economic activities. That is, what is to be produced, how much to be produced, when it is to be produced, or for whom it is to be produced. Everything will be detailed in that plan. Okay, but we should understand one thing. This plan is actually, it will be flexible, because if it is not flexible, what happens when there is a change in the situation? That is, we'll be making a plan based on the situation of that particular society. But if there is any change in the situation, the country or the society should be able to adapt to it. So the plans will be flexible enough so that the changes, according to the changes in the situation, the plans will change. Okay. So next point is government control. As we said, the plans are being formulated by a central planning authority, and this central planning authority prepare the plan and hand it over to the government. It is the government that implements this plan. Okay, so every economic activity is fully controlled by the government. Okay, so that is how everything is under the control of government. Government will decide what is to be done, who will do it, when to do it, what to do it. Everything is decided by the government. Okay, nobody can do anything without the consent of the government. Then next is lack of competition. As we said, here government decides everything. A government decides what is to be produced, who should produce it. Okay, and government is actually the main entrepreneur. So competition will be very low in such kind of an economy. Okay, that is, there won't be any cutthroat competition here, because government will say, okay, this particular product, the government is itself is producing it, so they'll decide the price and they'll sell it. Okay, there is no competition. There is no other seller for that particular product. Or if government is assigning somebody else to produce a product also, government will say, okay, only this particular organization can produce this product. Okay, there is no chance for somebody else to produce it. So there won't be any competition. So what happens when there is no competition, or when there is the competition is very low? Naturally, the efficiency will be low, and the products may not be best suitable for the consumers, because they don't have any other option. The government is producing it and it is selling. The consumers are bound to buy it. Okay, they can't go to some other seller because there is no other seller. Okay, so here also the consumer is the person who is affected in one way, but at least they are getting the product, and they are getting it at a reasonable price. The government is setting the price, so it's a reasonable price. Okay. Then next is social welfare. So the main aim of the economy, or the major attribute of this particular economic system, is promotion of social welfare. Okay, so in this particular economy, everything happens to promote social welfare and not to earn profit. Okay, and while formulating the plans, the government will be thinking more about the people, the needs of the people. Okay, and the government produces goods and services, sometimes at the loss of, I mean, they'll be inquiring loss. Still, they'll be producing that particular good or service just because that is required by the people. Okay, a particular commodity, government knows that if you produce that much commodity and sell it at this price, it won't make profit. But still, the government will do it because the people need that particular product, and the government will think, okay, this particular product, it should not be sold at a higher price. In that case, what happens? The government will sell the product at a particular price, even if it is causing loss to the government. Here, the major motto is the well-being of all the people in the society. Then the last one is limited private sector. The public sector dominates the economy. Private sector has very limited role to play. That is already explained, isn't it? Because here the government is the main entrepreneur. So public sector dominates the economy. All the large industries and everything will be regulated by the government. Only a very few opportunities are available to the people to produce goods or services. Okay. So that is all about socialism. All the features of socialism are explained. So please go through socialism and capitalism. In the next lecture, we'll study about mixed economy. Thank you.